prediction. So, okay, who has the first hot take? Come on, who we got?
You want me to start
Go
this
on.
time? I'll start this time. I'll start with something very depressing, I guess. Which is like, you cannot say a single positive thing about anything that's going on in Counter-Strike right now. A single fucking positive
you know what's
thing.
you know what's so crazy as well, Maui, is in theory he's supposed to be the most reasonable person on this show, but even his like accidental hot takes are so absurd, aren't they? Like that actually might by like definition be the most insane hot take ever. Like there's not a single in any area, not a single area of CS you can say so.
Nothing,
okay.
Literally nothing. Take a look at it. Like for example.
Okay.
The game itself is
the ultimate
shit,
black pill
right?
take. I know. Okay, the game's shit. All right, yeah.
The game is shit, right? Nothing in game works. Movement, fucking mechanics, tick rate, whatever. The economy, weapons, all these things are garbage after garbage after garbage. Teams, competitive scene, tier 1. There is no fucking team that you can say, oh, this team is fucking great.
Well, even Navi, so, they're not good enough for you.
I mean, not even good enough for like to compare them with some other successful teams from previous like
from
parts
history
of
and stuff. Okay.
Yes, you cannot compare Navi to any of those teams. Not even close. Yes, they won these things, but and they're like in this fucking competitive environment that you can say they're like a good team, right? Overall,
you could just say that they're not bad, are they? They are pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good stretching. They're just good, you know.
Yeah, but look at the other teams. True. Everybody's falling apart left and right. Like nobody plays good CS, not because they're bad players, because they're the game is bad at the moment, and everybody confirms it. Look at the orgs.
So wait, well, just in case we're keeping notes, right? So the entire game sucks and is bad. There are no good teams. Like I guess Navi compared to these trash would be good TM. And on top of that, like because the game itself is so bad, you can't even be good. So okay, let's keep going. Anything else?
On our standards, like look at the CSGO teams. How good like Astralis was, Liquid, FaZe, all these Fanatics, like all these teams. How good were they, right? Now nobody is even close. Look at the TOs. They're all having a pissing contest between each other. They're all pissing each other off, fighting against each other. Look at the organizations. Look at my ex-organization. Nobody's paying anything. It's a fucking disaster everywhere. Look at the fucking tier 1. It's also the organizations. It's a disaster in every aspect of the way. Tier 2 is fucking garbage. It's corrupt. It's match fixing all over the way. It's just a lot of unregulated gambling. Like, tell me one thing that I can be happy about the fucking game. Look at the content creators. Do we have any content creators in CS2 right now that are on a constant level? Streamers. Who do we have? 1Pixel. That's it. Here is streams.
Only Pixel. Yeah, only Pixel.
Whatever. I don't care. Then who else?
I know.
Who else?
I don't know that
we
guy.
do like there is a HLTV confirmed. There is a talking Counter-Strike. There is us who is doing these things. You do a bunch of videos with Maui, and Maui you do it as well, but that's not nearly enough.
That's not enough. Okay, that's not enough. Okay, right.
Then there is the talent drama as well. Always the talent drama. The talent pool was never weaker than it is right now.
That's true.
There is no fucking spice on the desk anymore. Everybody is sitting there reading stuff like they're reading from ChatGPT, right?
Okay.
TOs like ASL, Blaster fighting each other, including like politics into the fucking hiring talent as well. Like, tell me one fucking positive thing that you can say about the Counter-Strike except that it exists.
It's the way he went philosophical at the end. I love it. Go on, Maui. I challenge you. Say one good thing. What do you think about his take? Bit of a doomer take, really, you know.
I mean, I feel like it's right now, like, I mean, I made a hot take, a few months ago, 8 months ago or so, about the fact that skins were the worst thing to happen to this game, and I feel like this is what you get. This is what you get, because the best thing that's happening right now is people love these charms. People love these little gun buddies that you can put on your gun right now, and that's the biggest update that Valve has made in how long at this point? Like, that's what I mean. Like, they put all of their effort into this because instead of trying to make a game that is playable for the highest level and will get people involved in the esports community, they decide to focus the few resources that they have left over from, I don't know, 70% of their crew moving over to Deadlock, and they're just saying, okay, guys, here you go, some gun buddies, which we literally stole from Valorant. Yeah, I feel like I'm not gonna go that far. I think the game is still all right. I think it's still really fun to watch. Okay, I think it's still in a way like there's a lot of storylines that are still occurring nonstop. I mean, come on, Simple just came back. Like, how is that not a good thing? How's that? That's just the counter hot take to that is the best thing that happened to Counter-Strike recently. Simple came back, even though he's obviously not even doing well. So no, there's obviously still good things. I can see why you're on this sort of doomer angle though, Kasad. Obviously, like the tragedy with Bleed not paying out and now just seemingly flying off the face of the earth for the people that are involved. I mean, it's pretty hard to... If I didn't get paid for 9 months and I just kind of held out in goodwill that I was going to be getting paid, I too would probably be pretty fucking pissed. So I get where you're coming from. But I just think that the game is taking very, very gradual steps towards becoming a better one. I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed in the fact that it hasn't reached, to me, probably 70% as good as what CSGO felt. It's still probably better than the first 2 years of CSGO. So I guess we have that. But I wouldn't think that progress should be linear in nature. I think it should be moving up at a much quicker rate, at an exponential rate, because they get to use the lessons of the first game, or not the first game, but CSGO before it, and even CS Source before that too. And they should have, at this point, outlined a couple things that, hey, why do we need 64-tick servers with this sub-tick shit going on behind it? Like, I know that Valve has sometimes said, or people come out of the woodwork to say, like, oh, this isn't really a sub-tick problem. Well, unfortunately, we just have to assume that it is a sub-tick problem when we don't know what the problem is, because we don't know how everything is coded top to bottom. So I just think that if it was 128 tick, it probably would be 10% better. I think it would be 80% the game that CSGO was, maybe even higher. So, yeah, I'm pretty disappointed on a lot of accounts. I think the main thing that I really dislike is the casual player experience, actually. I've kind of moved away from the game as a casual playing experience just because the only objective right now for me is to unlock armory like do little rolls in the armory, which is like $16, and it's like this is it. Like this is what we're working towards right now. Like there's no matchmaking that really matters. The Faceit stuff is the same that it's always been, so whatever. There's no community server browser still that's really that functional, and so to me, I wish there was like just a better casual experience, which would then feed into making everything a lot better at the esports end.
So look, it's a single positive thing. Okay.
The problem is, it's obviously an absurd take, isn't it? Because he did the thing where he said you can't say anything. If instead the take was just like, if you add everything together, all pluses and minuses, he sees it as like overall a negative, or it's in a downward trend or something. I could agree with that. Like when you do the totality, you had some points there. Like I think in each domain you weren't totally unreasonable. Like for example, I actually am one of the people where I'm surprised it takes so long for this to be the consensus take, but I'm amazed more people weren't angry earlier on about the changes to the game. Because to me, guys, it was like back at the fucking major, people were missing those jumps. That was ages ago. Like, to me, basic game engine stuff should be the number one thing you whine about all the time anyway. That and maps should be, like, if you're the competitive scene, the main thing you're bothered about. Like, I'm not as worried about some of the other things. Like, even the peak things, I care less about that than I do like the integrity of a jump working. You know what I mean? Like, I want everything in the game to be, like, uniform and we all get used to it and then the game can go to a high level. So I do think the game's got a lot of problems still. I'll give you that one. I've also heard as well, this is just something a lot of people say, they say that the net code is just a bit more scuffed than when it used to be in CSGO. If that is true, by the way, that's actually quite disappointing, because in the modern day, these online qualifiers are a fucking nightmare. And as we all have heard about what's going to happen tomorrow, next year, in Season 2 or whatever you want to call 2025, where they change to that ELO system, that's going to be even harder for teams that are trapped in Tier 2 to get out, because you can have these insane netcode games. So that's not good. On the team ones, I sort of agreed I don't. Like, put it this way, the existence of Na'Vi themselves, just like early phase, does sort of show there can be consistency to this game. But I do agree with you in this sense, which is that they don't have any true rival. None of these other teams. Like, I'll give you an example. I personally think if they played them, Vitality would beat them every time. But that is a completely moot point as long as Vitality can't ever fucking get to play against Na'Vi. It's completely irrelevant. In that case, essentially all I mean is, I think Vitality head-to-head would be better, but they're clearly not a better team. And I do think I agree with you. If you look at Na'Vi and you compare them to the greatest teams in history, you can talk shit about any great team in CSGO. They all had a contender that was straight fire. You know what I mean? mean, there was always like a Very Games or the TSM to the Fanatics or FaZe to SK. Like, these teams are better than whoever's second now. If second place is Vitality or G2 or Mao, these teams are better than that. So I sort of agree. Like, I think in some ways Na'Vi also gets to be historically great, even though, as we say, they don't really have that many generational players because the scene's a bit weak right now and no one else has cracked it. And also, spoiler, I've heard the behind the scenes, everyone, including Na'Vi, would have made roster moves if we were in the buyout world we live in now. Like, I've heard they might have done it themselves if they hadn't won certain tournaments. Obviously, Vitality would have done it by now. G2 could have done it by now. Everyone could have done it basically at this point in time. I mean, there's also the story where maybe Twist could have already joined Vitality previously from Team Liquid. So if you keep, but the problem is, I obviously don't agree. Like Maui says, you can't say things are positive. It's just they're more individual or isolated things. Look, I also do get it as well, Kassan. Here's like a bigger point, which is there is a saying that when you see the world, you can't separate yourself from it, can you? So, because to you, everything's on fire. There's no money. Everything's burning. It's all just broken promises, dreams, lies. There's not really any future. Nothing's got. You just see that for everyone, but not everyone's in that situation.
Yeah, tell me a game that you're looking forward to watch. Like you did
every
before.
Falcons game.
Simple Falcons versus an even worse team if we can get them in there. Can we get like Aurora in there or something?
Tell me a team that you are like. You remember how you used to like can't wait to watch Liquid Astralis?
Yeah.
FaZe Astralis.
Well, like I said, I do want to see Na'Vi Vitality. It just doesn't happen at the moment, unfortunately. There's never played each other. They play like one time. So I've been ruined on that one, sadly. I remember watching
that I'm looking forward to.
Like when I watched that Cologne final, I was like, let's run this back a few times. I never fucking got to see it again. That was it. All right, cool. That was it. Don't even get to watch that match again. Cool, brilliant. So no, I'll okay agree, but I don't think anything can be done about it, sadly.
It's just a little far. Yeah. It's just a little too far, obviously. But I kind of actually buy the doomer angle, though, of this space. I just feel like I don't think that Counter-Strike's going anywhere. But in all these times we've talked about like the death of CS or is CS dying or whatever, this is probably the closest that it's felt reasonable as a take for the last 3 years because there's just so much to complain about. And I really think that the new... I don't know if anybody's going to make a take on it, but the whole idea of the like open circuit, but it's kind of like an invite only circuit anyways, just sort of recreates the franchise system, but in a way that instead of us getting, say, NIP and Evil Geniuses, we're just getting Eternal Fire and the Mongols at every tournament. It's like, is that really that much better? I don't know if I want to go that far because I don't know. I have this cynical idea that it's just like, if you're one of the top 20 teams and you're getting invites to all these tournaments that are in the top 20, the only way that you let teams in that aren't in the top 20 is by taking days off. And people are like, oh yeah, surely people are going to be reasonable about their mental health and their physical abilities and traveling this much, whatever. But it's like, do they? Like Device had to basically have an ulcer before he realized maybe I shouldn't go to every single tournament. So I don't know if that's even going to happen in the upcoming year. And I think that seeing the downfall of a couple of the tier 2 organizations, like I'm mostly thinking Sprout and Eternal Alternate Attacks. Yeah. I even Bleed to that extent. It's like, I don't think teams are finding value in playing in the tier 2 space as they once did because they see how in ways it's closed. It's almost more closed. There's less open qualifier spots, I'd say, on a percentage basis than there was back in the day. So what are you really aspiring for? And if what you're aspiring for has to be achieved through an online gauntlet, which has poor netcode, a worse game than CSGO, and really just like it's so arduous. Like it really is. It's just too difficult right now for some of these teams that are in like the rank 35 and on ranks.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that. Like I'll tell you why it is. First of all, CS is not going anywhere because there is gambling. As soon as you can gamble, you can watch the game that you put your money on because every gambler does that. Nobody puts their money and just walks away, just hope that we win or lose. They do it because they want to watch it. Professional gamblers, they may not watch it unless they're betting, live. The casual gamblers, the addicts, they're just gonna bet just so they can watch. As soon as people are watching, there's gonna be people paying for fucking sponsorships because they will put their fucking ads on that screen that you are watching as a gambler. Simple as that. Not to mention that obviously gambling itself is very profitable in that sense. The other thing, tier 2 organizations are not being able to survive because of the too many expenses. Because nowadays, tier 2 players, they want $10,000-$15,000 salaries. And because of these agents and because of the market is broken. As a tier 2 player, you cannot expect that much money. You get 2, 3, 4K, whatever. and that will cut the cost of that org by a large margin. Instead of tier 2 players being like transformed from tier 3 team to tier 2 team and asking for like 10, 11, 9, $12,000. And some people are forced to pay, and then that's why they burn their money. Like if there was a person who can say like, no, we have this budget and we can pay this much. You get 3.5K, 2.5K, 3K, whatever the fuck is it, right? And that's what you get in the first year. So they can be, we can do it like that in the first year with our budget, then it can be sustainable for tier 2 orgs. Right now, players are coming in with their agents asking for $10,000 simply because that agent wants to get his 10% in $1,000 amount every month. But it doesn't work like that. But the orgs and the people who are there, they're fucking paying that money, and all of a sudden their budget from 200K goes up to 900K and 1 million. And obviously they don't get the results, they don't get the invites, and the money dries out. So that's the real fucking problem. So yeah, I'm saying holy shit right now. That's why I don't have a single positive thing.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.